Hey, sister girls, it's your big sister, Abby Rodell, and this is Full Roster, your go to dating podcast for advice, hilarious stories, tough love, and a deep dive into the shit show that is the dating world. Welcome to Full Roster. Hello, sister girls. Welcome to Full Roster. Thank you so much for tuning in. This week, I have been very excited about it. I started this podcast in hopes that I could connect to more women who have been in a narcissistic relationship. And this is the first time that I was able to actually have a conversation with a woman who was in a relationship like this. So I hope that this is the first of many. My future goal is to have some kind of foundation or some kind of group support. I don't know exactly what it looks like yet, but something to connect more women who have gone through something like this, as well as to support women who are currently in a relationship and are trying to get out. I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and I hope that it gives more women confidence to reach out and share their stories. And above all, I hope that this gets to a listener who is maybe going through something similar and it helps them get out of a really horrible, toxic, and abusive relationship. With that being said, we're going to get into roster rundown. The first thing we're going to talk about is Real Housewives of Rhode Island. Kelsey Swanson, we've talked about her before. She is the one who was dating the man for 10 years, who paid for her entire life, the house she lived in, the housekeeper, everything. And he was only with her for 6 months out of the year. The 6 months at the beginning of the year, he was in Miami with another woman. It has come out that Kelsey and him broke up. Kelsey broke it off with him. It kind of sounds like she found out that he was sleeping with other women more than just the one that she knew about in Miami. So I guess he started sleeping with others, and that apparently wasn't part of their deal. She also kind of hit the point at 30 where she's wanting a family and stuff like that, and obviously he was not willing to give that to her, so she left. When I talked about this last time on the pod, I was saying how I hope that because she had unlimited time and resources, aka money from this guy, I really hoped that she had done something for herself to set her up in the future for financial success. She didn't. She was with this guy for 10 years and is leaving the relationship with just as much as she started, except now she's on a reality show. But she is in the exact same spot, owns nothing, no job, nothing. So I don't know what she's doing, honestly. Another reason she broke off with him was because she is also dating another guy, which great for her for also dating other people. I think that was super smart of her to not put all her eggs in one basket for this guy. She's going to start dating this other man. It sounds like her ex is going to continue paying for her rent, which, as long as he's paying for stuff, take the money, obviously. I'm not mad at that. I just wish that she would have used that 10 years. I mean, she had a housekeeper that did everything, cleaned the house, did her laundry, made her bed, basically every single thing except for shower her. That was like all she was responsible for, was showering herself. They had a chef, all that. So she had unlimited time, unlimited money resources. She could have gotten a degree in marketing or finance or business, anything to help boost herself and or start businesses, literally anything. She could have done anything. And she did not do a damn thing. So definitely wish she would have done something. She's going to rely on a man to survive for the rest of her entire life. She talked about how she relied on her dad, how she learned nothing. She knew her dad was going to take care of it. Moved right in from her parents' house to this guy's house, her ex's house, and now she's got to figure out where to go next. So we'll see what happens with that. But she, just didn't do what I hoped she was doing. Okay, this is kind of a throwback, but over the last few months, I have been rewatching Vampire Diaries. I don't know what the heck prompted me to rewatch it, but I did. I started it one day and kind of got hooked on it again. So I was rewatching it. I'm almost done. I'm in the last season. What I came here to say is that at one point I was on Googling it, and the fan favorites of the entire series were Damien and Klaus. And they said that they were fan favorites because of their character development, which I think is such horseshit. Klaus, of all people, no. The character development they're talking about is like bad guy to good guy. Klaus is always a bad guy. Always made he does not care about anybody but himself. Liar, manipulator. I mean, this guy, he's horrible. And the majority of the fans are women. It just goes to show you the kind of men that women are attracted to, these bad guys. I truly think it's because women think that they can change men. Like they think that they're going to take this bad guy and date this bad guy and make him good, which is kind of what happens with Elena and Damien. That it so rarely happens. You cannot rely on a man to change for you ever. You hope that when you get into a relationship with someone that you grow together, but hope thinking you can change a man, you're gonna let yourself down almost 10 out of 10 times. It rarely happens that a man changes for somebody. I just could not believe that they were the fan favorites, especially Klaus. Damien, he has gone through a character transformation. He has grown a lot as a character. Do I still think he's a good guy? No. I think he's in love with Elena and he's trying to be a good guy for her. Ultimately, though, I think he's still a liar and a big time manipulator. So I'm not sure. If I was gonna pick a character that was my favorite because of character development, I would either pick Caroline or Alaric. Caroline, she's changed so much, but has been such a solid rock for everybody else. I don't know how many episodes I've had left, maybe a few, but I just want her to live out whatever her dreams and goals are. And I know that she really wants to find love. That's been a whole thing for her is she's dated several men on the show and they've all just kind of let her down or she's like grown out of them. So I hope she finds whatever she wants by the end of this. I don't remember the ending, honestly. It's been so long since I've seen it. But Alaric, great guy. He has done a little bit of everything. He's been a hunter, he's been a vampire, he's gone back to a normal guy. I mean, he's just kind of done it all. And he's been a pretty much throughout the entire series has been a good guy. There was only one part, and it was such a blip in the entire series that he was a bad guy. And so I think that he's been so solid too. Lastly, we have to talk about Summer House. The most recent episode of Summer House, I got done watching that feeling kind of sad. Like, I think West could have had such a fantastic season because he's standing up for Amanda. He's holding his buddies accountable, which I think is huge. It appears that way anyway. Obviously, we know what we know now is him and Amanda have a thing for each other, so that's why he's standing up for her. But it appears, if we didn't know what we know now, it appears like he's holding his friend accountable. It appears like he is very supportive of Amanda. It appears that he's really trying to bring his relationship back with Sierra. I just wish that all of this didn't happen with him and Amanda because I think it is so important for men to hold their friends, their other male friends accountable. I think it is so, so important. If your male friend is doing something so inappropriate or talking inappropriately to a woman, their wives, disrespecting anybody, I think it is so impactful when the male friends hold them accountable. The male friendships and circles that talk constant shit about their wives, that talk about cheating on their wives, that icks me the hell out. I don't ever want to be associated with a friend group like that. Like obviously, you want friends to be able to talk about their relationships and stuff like that to each other, but the ones where they're constantly bagging on their wives, that I just don't want to be friends with men like that. So, it just made me sad that West could have had such an amazing season and he fucked it up big time. Amanda, god dang, she is just digging her hole, man. I mean, she is digging the hole to put her casket in. It's so bad. She was talking about how she would burn the world down if someone hurt Sierra and that she doesn't trust West with Sierra's heart because Sierra's heart is so pure and she doesn't deserve that. All for Amanda to just go and date West. What happened to protecting Sierra's heart? What happened to not trusting West? I mean, it makes no sense. It's almost like she's trying to talk herself into it. Like, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. So, yeah, after this last episode, I just was so like, ugh, it just, it didn't make me feel good. Until I have sponsorships, here's a quick plug, sisters. If you're all about fashion, fitness, and lifestyle inspo, head over to my LTK. I'm dropping my favorite looks, workout must-haves, and items I use on the daily. The best part about it is you can shop everything in one place. Follow me at Abby Rodell and get in on all of the looks I am serving. Welcome back, sister girls. We are going to get into the narcissist story now. Again, I'm so grateful for Allie to have spent the time with me and talk about her story and answer my questions. I have changed the names of every single person in this story. So we're going to call her Allie. I really, really appreciate her being so open and vulnerable and allowing me to speak about her story on her behalf in hopes that this reaches other women who maybe are going through the same thing and can find some comfort that there is a possibility to get out on the other side and live your life. So we're going to start at the very beginning. This is how they met. She had just broken up with her boyfriend and she went to an underage nightclub. So underage just means under 21. The security guard introduced her to the narcissist, Alex. That night, they just danced together, but no numbers were really exchanged. They just had that one interaction at the nightclub. A few months later, she was out again at an underage nightclub and they ran into each other. He asked her to go to a house party and she went, but obviously told him that she could not buy alcohol because she was not 21. She then found out that he was 28. So she was 18 at the time. He was 28. That night, he bought her alcohol and they went to the house party together. One thing that was very appealing to her about Alex was that he had so many friends. He had a group of friends. He seemed like the cool guy. And Allie was bullied in high school, and I think she was just yearning for the acceptance from people and wanted to have a lot of friends, which was so appealing about Alex because he had the friends that she wanted to have. That aspect of him and his charm and how he made her feel, that's what made it very easy for her to fall for him. After a few days of dating, Alex gave Allie a house key and asked her to move in. She moved in, but Alex was almost never there. He was still seeing other women, and this was not the living situation that she signed up for. Because he was never really around, she thought maybe he wanted space, and so she moved out with one of her friends. Once Allie moved out, obviously Alex was not a fan of her moving out. He felt like he lost a little bit of control. And that sparked the night that she went out with some of her friends. This sparked one of the first big arguments that they had in their relationship. So she went out and she ran into a woman that Alex had told her was just a friend of his. And she sent him a picture of them together. He blew up at that. Come to find out, he was dating both of them. So neither of them knew that they were dating Alex. They thought they were just friends. He had convinced both of them that the other woman was just his friend. So when she sent him this picture, it seemed like a really innocent thing. And that is what he blew up about. Because of that, Alex completely lost his top and made a huge deal about them hanging out together. And that prompted Allie to break up with him. And that was the first time that she broke up with him. Of course, like so many narcissistic relationships, the breakup only lasted for a few days. He love bombed her and bought her flowers and was apologizing profusely, talked about how much he missed her, he liked her, he's so, so sorry. And of course, that made Allie feel comfortable to take him back. She then said that that was the only time in their relationship that he ever bought her flowers. When they got back together, things were good for a little bit. And then they had a fight about her going out with friends that he did not like. And this is such a manipulation tactic from a narcissist. When they're going out, the significant other, the victim, is going out with friends who verbally talk about their disgust with the narcissist cannot stand that. So Allie went out and with friends who he didn't like. And so he disassembled her car. He took off whatever the belt is that starts the vehicle. I don't know anything about vehicles, so I don't really know. But he removed the belt that starts the vehicle. So she was trying to leave. She had to have a friend bring her home. And when she got home, he threw the belt at her and said, "That's why your car wouldn't start. I don't want you hanging out with them anymore." That caused a big fight with them. And then Allie said that the next day he bought her a teddy bear to make up for them fighting. He flat out told her that he took off this belt because he did not want her hanging out with her friends. I mean, he punished her. That was punishment. And we see this so much in narcissistic relationships that I mean, they do something like that and then they talk themselves back into it. They make you think that it was your fault. That wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have been hanging out with your friends. I mean, it is just such manipulation. And then, of course, the love bombing to get you to come back in. Luckily, Allie had a really great relationship with her parents. At one point in the relationship, her mom started realizing how beat down she was getting. An example that Allie gave was they would be talking about an event that would be happening, and Allie would be really excited about it and really wanted to go. And of course, she would ask Alex if he wanted to go, and he would immediately shut it down and say that they weren't going. When he did that, Allie would just start to accept it and, wouldn't fight about it or wouldn't say, well, I'm going or anything like that. She just accepted it and they wouldn't go. Her mom started realizing, that she was doing that and kind of started realizing that Allie was no longer fighting for herself. She was no longer standing up for herself. And when she brought that to Allie, a light bulb went off in Allie's head that she was losing herself. She was no longer standing up for herself or fighting back. She was just submitting to everything that he said. So much in a relationship like this, where at the beginning, you do stand up for yourself, you do fight back, you don't accept them or tolerate them tearing you down. And slowly but surely, you allow it and you don't fight back and you try to de-escalate and you walk on eggshells because the fighting's not worth it. It's exhausting. They devalue you, they belittle you. You go around and round in circles. You never win. They always win. And it just gets to the point where you start to just not, you're avoiding all controversy and all arguments at all cost. Throughout their relationship, Allie had been talking about, she wanted to get married. She wanted to start a family one day. They were together for 10 years before he proposed. And throughout that entire time, Allie had been wanting to move forward and get engaged and get married. There was always an excuse from Alex as to why they weren't engaged yet. He wanted to buy a house. He didn't have enough money. He wanted a better job. I mean, just all of the excuses to keep pushing back an engagement. And Allie said, they would buy the house or he would get the job or, they would reach the goal that they talked about reaching. And then he would come up with another thing to push the engagement back. Finally, 10 years later, Allie gave him an ultimatum and said, we either get engaged or I'm out of here. And in a couple of days after she gave him that ultimatum, he proposed. Once they got married, things really started to escalate then. And we see this happen a lot because now the narcissist feels like you can't get away. They feel like they own you even more because now you're married to them. They have just that much more control over you and feel that they can act out more. And it's a lot harder for the victim to leave. So once they got married, he became more controlling. Arguments started getting worse. Well, Allie was active on TikTok and earned money from TikTok. He started dictating how much time she was spending on TikTok, how much time she was spending with her friends. She had a good friend group that she had met on the app, and he did not like that she was spending so much time on lives with her friends, and so he started dictating that. It's like he didn't like that she had a new community of friends. That happens all the time in this kind of relationship. They don't want you to have friends. They want to completely isolate you because if you don't have friends, you have no one to talk to. And no one can tell you that your relationship is toxic or that your narcissistic boyfriend or significant other is a horrible human. They want to isolate you as much as possible. And that's exactly what Alex was doing to Allie when he was telling her to stay off the app. Slowly but surely, he started to separate her from her family and would try to spin scenarios to make it seem like her parents were bad mouthing her or talking bad about her or didn't love her. He was trying to ruin the bond between her and her parents. It got to the point where in the last year of them being married that she was not going to any more social events, no birthday parties, no family gatherings. He also stopped going to the family gatherings and for Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that, Father's Day, she would have to make an excuse for him every time he wasn't there. People would be like, "Where's Alex?" She would have to make an excuse for him every single time. Finally, at one point, her dad sat her down and just said, "Listen, is Alex not here because of the excuse you gave, or is he not here simply because he doesn't want to be here?" And Allie said, he just doesn't want to be here. And she kind of opened up to him about it. And he said, that's BS. You need to stop sticking up for him. If he is doing wrong things or if he is making decisions on his own, you cannot be making excuses for him. One of the big reasons why she stopped going to social events, especially with her friends, is because he made it unbearable for her to do so. Every time she'd go out without him, he was blowing up her phone. There was always some kind of fight afterwards. For a 4th of July party, a friend of Allie's asked if she was going to come to the party, and originally Allie wasn't going to go in fear of Alex doing all of that stuff and trying to avoid an argument. Well, her friend, didn't give up on her, and Allie ended up going. At the party, Allie really, really opened up to this friend about Alex's abuse and about how toxic their relationship really is. And her friends kind of talked her into saying, Allie needs to start making decisions on her own. She needs to stop letting Alex dictate all of her decisions. Of course, because of that, Allie was able to open up about the abuse that she got when she did leave and when she did have friends and went out to social events on her own, about how he would blow up her phone the entire time, accuse her of doing things, how, when she got home, it would be a huge fight and it just wasn't worth it to do those things. At the party, Allie's friends started questioning her on why she tolerated that kind of, reaction from Alex, and why, she tolerated that kind of treatment from him. It really started making Allie question that herself. Why am I tolerating this? Why do I allow him to treat me this way? She said it was one of the first times that she had started questioning that, on why she thinks that she allowed him to treat her that way. Because of this, it kind of caused a snowball effect of Allie standing up for herself again. She started pushing back against him and started hanging out and talking more to her friends online, even though it would upset him. Her friend also started sending her videos of narcissism on TikTok. And through those videos, Allie was able to get a better understanding on what narcissism is, how to handle it, seeing the signs of the abuse, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the love bombing, all of that. She started educating herself on all of that. This was a complete turning point for her because, she did start seeing the signs. She did start pushing back. Also, in this moment, which this was a year into their marriage, they were married for 2 years. So, halfway through their marriage, Alex stopped driving over the road and started being home every single night. So, a lot is happening in this time frame. Allie is starting to get a better understanding of what narcissism is. She is starting to kind of find herself and find her voice again and pushing back against the abuse from Alex. And then Alex is now home every single night from being over the road. Because of all of this, it caused Alex to escalate his tantrums and bad treatment even more. One night, Allie was on TikTok with her friends, and she was making more money on a live that she ever had. So she was getting super, super excited about it and being loud and cheering and being happy. Well, Alex was, a few feet away from her playing video games, and Allie was cheering and stuff like that. And Alex, he died or something on his video game, and it ended the game. And he got so pissed off that he threw the controller at her and was accusing her of distracting him on the game, and accused her for why he lost because it distracted him and he lost. So the controller bounced off the desk, hit her phone, knocked the phone off the tripod. Her friends, since she was on a live, could hear all of the screaming. She like promptly ended the live with her friends, and they all messaged her asking her, if she was okay, making sure she was good. And throughout their entire relationship, Alex never got physical with her. Every single relationship with a narcissist is different. There are a lot of times when it does turn physical, and Allie was one of the lucky ones who were not in a physically abusive relationship. Still very unlucky, of course, being in a relationship with a narcissist, but lucky on the front of never having received physical abuse from him. So her friends are asking her, online if she's okay. She told them that she was going to step back and take a break from TikTok for a while. This was obviously because Alex beat her down so bad in this argument that she was like, okay, I'm going to step back from TikTok. It's not worth it. For a month, she was off the app. Her friends through that time on the app never gave up on her. They were constantly reaching out to her, constantly trying to pull her in lives. And about a month later, she finally joined one of the lives with her friends. She started going back on the app and going back on the lives and slowly started to, be back with her friends again. A month before her divorce, she was putting away dinner. And when she went and joined a live with her friends, shortly after that, her husband started screaming at her because she put away something that wasn't completely cooled off. And he was screaming and cussing at her that it was going to ruin everything in the fridge. She was on a live when this was happening. So she got up out of the, room that she was in for the live and went into the kitchen to try to de-escalate her husband screaming at her. Well, the people on the live at the other end of the house could hear him screaming at her. So they all started yelling, you can't treat a woman like that. You can't talk to a woman like that. They were getting all fired up too. And Allie said that she could hear them from the other room on the live also screaming at him to stop treating her that way. And it made her really scared that it would escalate Alex's response, hearing them talk like that. So she ran back into the room and immediately turned the volume down on her phone and de-escalated, the fight with Alex. Once Alex was apparently calmed down, he went to bed and she got back on the app and they were, grilling her, talking about it. Why are you tolerating that? Why is he talking to you like that? And Allie just started justifying, his actions. She was saying, this is how he talks. It's fine. I'm fine. You guys don't understand our relationship. Things like that to just try to get out of it, stand up for him. They didn't understand. And how could she explain all of this to them to where they would understand what she was going through? They called it out to her for what it was, which is abuse. And they wouldn't let her off the hook with the excuses. This opened the door for her friends to continue to have conversations with her to, let her know that this isn't normal behavior in a relationship. Allie started realizing how mentally and verbally abusive that Alex was to her and opened up to her mom finally about all of the abuse. Now, of course, Allie's mom had an idea that there was stuff going on. They had an idea that Alex, wasn't a great guy. But she finally opened up 100% to her mom. And after being with Alex for a total of 13 years, they made a plan for Allie to leave. When she told Alex that she was leaving, they had a huge argument. And Alex started, trying to tear her down and telling her that he never loved her, he doesn't love her, and that he was just never in love with her. He was just trying to make her feel worthless. That was the final straw for her. If he never loved her, why would she be tolerating this abuse? This was all the clarity that she needed to leave for the final time. Of course, with any narcissist, it never ends when you break up. He started saying he wanted to go to counseling. He wanted to go to church. He started going to a church. Allie had been asking him for years to go to therapy, to start going to church as a couple, and he refused the entire time until she finally left him. He kept coming to her parents' house to try to talk to her. She finally blocked him on everything and went no contact. This obviously did not stop him from stalking her online. He always found a way to find her on social media. He started contacting other people in their circle and their family and was trying to make her out to be the bad guy. And he even successfully got people on his side to make Allie appear to be the bad guy. He was just doing his best to ruin her reputation. Allie did not allow this to affect her relationship with him and pursued filing for divorce. Allie's divorce is still not final. This was relatively new that she filed for divorce. She successfully went no contact with him, has had no contact with him, and has kept him out of her life. She moved to a different state to separate herself from him, and she is seeing a therapist, which I think is amazing for any person who has gone through that amount of trauma. I mean, of course, to this day, that relationship still affects her life. There are people who he was able to turn against her, who are no longer in her corner and no longer want anything to do with her. It affects how she deals with conflict, how she trusts people, what her new dating life looks like, how she shows up for herself. Most of the time with conflict, she shuts down and tries not to get involved. She has a hard time trusting herself and trusting others' intentions when they're trying to help her with things. I asked Allie, at the end, how does she feel about the people who stuck in her life? And this is kind of what she said. She said, she feels so grateful to the people that stuck by her through this. They watched her going from being so full of life to a shell of herself and still stuck by her. She gives her family and friends a lot of credit for helping her out of that relationship. And Allie, again, was very lucky in the sense that she had people to lean on through this. So many women we see in narcissistic and domestic violent relationships, they don't have anyone to fall back on. They don't have supportive family. They don't have supportive friends. They feel completely isolated and by themselves. They have no one to call. They have nowhere to go when they leave. And luckily, Allie did not have that situation. She had incredibly supportive parents and a few friends who were supportive and never gave up on her the entire time through this relationship. And that was a huge reason why she was able to have the strength to get out of this. After Allie, went through her entire story, I had a few questions that I asked her at the end. I asked, I think a lot of people listening might relate to this part. What made it hard to leave at the time? And her answer was they had so much tied up together because of the things that he said and him isolating her and trying to ruin her relationships with her family. She didn't think that she could go back to her own family. He made her think that she could not pay the bills, that she couldn't take care of herself, wouldn't be able to afford to leave him. And he completely made her doubt her own capabilities. Of course, when things were good, they were so good. After you have fights with a narcissist, there's a few days there where things are back to how they were at the very beginning. They're love bombing you again. They're making you feel like the best seen and loved version of yourself. So you're constantly chasing that high. My next question was, during your relationship, was there qualities about Alex that you begged him to change? Aside, from him lying or controlling her, what was there in their relationship that maybe she was wanting him to change? Because I just feel like there's always something in a relationship that you're begging them to change. And she said she would beg him for help around the house. He never helped take care of the home. She cooked, cleaned, did everything for the home. He had a horrible spending habit. She tried to set up a budget for them and have separate bank accounts, but he would go to the bank and move money around and then would spend all of their money. When she left him for good, they were 2 payments behind on their house and 3 payments behind on the vehicle. The last question that I asked her was, what are some boundaries you have today that you didn't have before? A red flag she no longer looks past is belittling. Communication is very important for her in her new relationship. They have both learned together what kind of tone and communication styles works best for her. She also will not tolerate her partners yelling and screaming when they are frustrated. Something that has allowed her to rebuild her trust in her new relationship is the reassurance and open communication that she is receiving now from her new partner. I want to go back through different parts of the story and talk about the typical narcissism moves and traits that are in this story. The first one is the love bombing and the really fast paced relationship at the beginning. They make you feel good about yourself, and they especially look for women who are seeking validation from somebody. They make up for fighting with big grand apologies and gestures only for them to repeat the behavior and sometimes even worse. So, for example, him buying her flowers, him buying her a teddy bear. The part that really got me was when Allie said that that was the first and the last time that he ever bought her flowers in the relationship, and that was the first fight that they ever had. It's just so typical. That is a typical love bombing situation. Allie often found herself agreeing or apologizing just to end the tension. She walked on eggshells and felt responsible for keeping the peace. You essentially, in relationships like that, you just go into survival mode. And survival mode looks like keeping the peace at all cost. You feel like you're responsible for their emotions and for how they treat you and the arguments that happen. They make you feel that way about yourself. The relationship having so many highs and lows, which exactly is what made it so hard for Allie to leave, is the highs. You see the highs and you think, he is such a good guy. He loves me. Just for them to completely shift it and belittle you and devalue you and make you feel like a worthless human being. But you're chasing that high. You always want that high. You know they're capable of being that man. And so you stick around for that. Your needs are made to feel like a burden, or they make you feel like you're asking for the world. In this scenario, Allie begged him to help her around the house or to stop spending all of their money. And, of course, he would do well for a couple of days and then he would go right back to doing whatever the heck he wanted to do. Once you actually leave them is when the promises without the actions start. They want to start going to therapy. They want to start going to church. They find themselves and realize how horrible they've been, and the apologies are nonstop. They apologize without actually naming the behavior that they're supposedly sorry for. All of a sudden, yeah, they just become self-aware. They're like, oh, I'll work on it. I'll work on myself. I'll go to therapy. And obviously, it's just all BS to try to get you back. That is all for Allie's story. Allie, thank you again for opening up to me, for being vulnerable, for allowing me to share your story. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, if this even impacts one woman, the work, the time, everything, I'm going to get emotional. Sorry. I feel so strongly and passionate about helping women who have been through what I have. So I'm just really grateful that Allie gave me this opportunity to share her story. So thank you so much. And I hope that I did it justice. Hey sisters, before we wrap up with our last segment, if you want even more behind the scenes, daily vibes, and want to get to know me on a more personal level, make sure you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Abby Rodell. That's ABBYROEDEL. I share everything from fashion, fitness, and lifestyle to funny or frustrating personal moments. I'd love to see you there. Slide into my DMs and say hi. Welcome back, sister girls. We are going to jump straight into inbox audacity. This one is straight out of my inbox. He says, absolutely beautiful, 5'2" and 112 pounds of pure male. You seem very physically strong. Your shoulders are incredible. Sheer feminine and graceful power. You are not big enough or tall enough to ride this ride, sir. I'm sorry. That is it, sister girls, for this week's full roster. Thank you so much, of course, for listening. If you are loving this podcast, please subscribe to the platform that you are listening to it on. Leave a review, leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate it, especially on this episode, having a woman be vulnerable and allowing me to share her story. If you guys could extra support this and leave a comment, I just want to do more episodes like this and help more women and impact more women. So follow my pages on social media at Full Roster Pod. Come back next week. Next week is going to be such a fun episode. I'm going to have my first guest. And I rented a podcast studio for us to film in, which I'm even more excited to talk about. So definitely come back next week for the guest. It'll be so fun. We're just going to read who wrote in for advice or a wild story, and we're just going to give our advice and laugh. It's going to be so fun. I can't wait. If you have a relationship question or want some big sister advice, shoot me a DM on Instagram at fullrosterpod, or you can send me an email at fullrosterpod@gmail.com. Both work, and I will work it into an episode. As always, come back next week for more crazy dating stories and belly laughs. Until then, I hope your DMs are smooth and the red flags so obvious. See ya. Thank you for listening to Full Roster. You can find me on all socials at Full Roster Pod, and you can watch the video on YouTube. Like and subscribe to support the show, and come back for the next episode. See you next week.